Coming up on Tech News Today, great. Windows boots too fast now. When are they going to get it just right? Also, Siri is an outlaw, and Google gets off cheap in the Oracle case. All that and more in Turpster coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, May 23rd, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring all-electric and hybrid electric technologies. Learn more about the technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at Ford.com/technology. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
And joining us from across the wide Atlantic Ocean, Mark the Turpster Turpin joins us from turpstervision.tv.
Hello. Awesome.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
I don't know what to say.
For logging off of Diablo 3 for a few hours.
I haven't.
I
got it on a different monitor. It's fine. Don't panic.
Is that the clicking,
you
the
may
mad
hear
clicking?
some clicking.
Yeah,
you may hear
no
some
worries.
clicking. It's fine. It's just me whooping ass.
I envy
Yeah.
you.
A lot of people do.
We have gone through many dungeons. All right, let's start with
Greetings.
our top story today. The jury is out in Google versus Oracle.
And they get to go home.
Yeah, they get to talk to the press and everything.
Awesome.
In the patent phase of the trial, the jury found Google not guilty of infringement. It was not really not guilty, but they found they did not infringe on Oracle's patents.
Google, you're not going to jail.
Because it's not like they committed a crime. They found that Google did not infringe on the patents. Judge Alsop dismissed the jury, saying, quote, "This is the longest civil trial I've ever been in.
He's a cantankerous fellow, isn't he? He's just like, you lawyers are useless and I need to go home.
I'm tired." And he's taking 2 days off, too.
Just programming while
I like that. They should have more grumpy judges just doing stuff. And then just thinking, actually, I've done this for long enough now. I've lost interest. No, not guilty. Or guilty.
Can you blame this poor judge?
This has been a long
Patent trials? I mean, that's pretty
job.
bad.
Yeah.
That's his job. He's
I
not doing anything
understand.
else other than
He
programming.
must get paid by the
He's
hour
bored.
as well. He must be actually making more money the longer it goes on.
I don't
I'd be
think
like,
he's
hang on,
hourly.
haven't we all
Money's
discussed
fine.
it?
It's still the kind of information that I would say the same thing for a patent lawyer. That it's like, oh, another patent trial. Damn.
Do this intentionally.
Yeah, they wouldn't be a patent lawyer. Be a very good one, I guess. I don't know.
guess.
Yeah. Not more work.
Here's where we are now. The jury previously found that Google infringed the 9 lines of code. That was the range check code. They also found that Google infringed 37 Java APIs. But not only were they not determining whether APIs are copyrightable, they couldn't agree on whether it was fair use or not. In fact, The Verge reporting that the jury was dead like 9-3 on that matter. So Judge Alsop ruled on his own that Google infringed with its use of 8 Java test files, meaning that those are the only things left to be determined. That's not enough for them to have a statutory damages phase of the trial. That's why the jury was let go. And now Judge Alsop has to rule if APIs are copyrightable. He took briefings on that today, some final briefings on that today. He's going to be off for 2 days for personal reasons. So probably next week.
Jet skiing.
Yeah, probably. Next week sometime he will make his decision public whether APIs are or are not copyrightable. And then he'll rule on the other 2 infringements at up to $150,000 per infringement. So the worst that Google probably comes out of this is owing $450,000, which that's a lot of money to me, probably not that much money to Google.
Definitely not that much.
If he rules that APIs are copyrightable, they will have to retry or appeal the infringement counts because the jury was hung on that one fair use issue.
And I would think that Judge Alsop would actually write if he's gonna rule that they are copyrightable. I'd imagine that he'd be very narrow and try to keep this in the realm of Google and Oracle and the way they've been using this, because that could have far-ranging consequences.
Yeah, so essentially, if APIs are not ruled copyrightable, the max Google will have to pay is $300,000, $250,000 infringement. Probably won't pay the max, probably pay less than that, and it's all over. If they rules that they are copyrightable, then we go back to court again. So that's that. Let's talk about something more fun and more related to the kingdom from which you hail, Terpster. You have a new knight, a knight commander, KBE.
The knight commander.
Yeah.
We call him Knight Commander. He's I like to ride around in a car with him and just say, "You can't do that, Johnny." But he's not so much a knight rider as he is a knight commander. So we're working on it. But I'm happy that he's now in the same club as yours truly. You know, Sir something of the British Empire. Always good. Always good.
Yeah, so if you're wondering who we're talking about Apple Senior VP Jonathan Ive. You know, he's now a knight, and we're really thankful that the UK did this because we have Terpster on today, so we had to make sure this worked together. So we timed it. He's officially now he's a knight commander of the Order of the British Empire, KBE.
Second rank down in that order.
And he's getting for his services to design and enterprise. There's like a class in there. If you've never heard of Ive for some reason, which I think would be strange, he's a designer of things like, I don't know, iMac, iPod, iPhone, iPad, and that kind of stuff.
The big stuff.
Yeah, so he's kind of in charge of that.
Well, you're going to get quibbles on whether he designed things like the iPod.
Right.
He's the guy in charge of that.
Currently, he's still the senior VP of design there. So to celebrate, he had a nice long 2-part interview with The Telegraph that's being parsed by blogs everywhere. What kind of Apple secrets are in this?
Oh, yeah. What did he reveal?
Well, first he talked about how
flush of his knighthood.
He just loves talking about design because he obviously is into design. And if you like design stuff like I do, it's really nice to read. But the tech stuff is this. When he was asked if he could be remembered for just one Apple design, I've answered, quote, "It's a really tough one. A lot does seem to come back to the fact that what we're working on now feels like the most important and the best work we've done, and so it would be what we're working on right now, which, of course, I can't tell you about."
That's how television.
That's totally Sir Johnny Ives. Oh, that's so Sir Johnny Ives.
It's also, I mean, that's obvious stuff. When you look at, the first iteration of the iPod, you go, wow, at the time, remember how cool this was? Now it looks really old and outdated. What we're working on now is the cool future of tech, at least at Apple.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old 80s haircut kind of thing. Like, oh, look at the iMac, the first generation. Yeah, it kind of looks kind of janky now. But then the question of what about the Apple design development process? How has that changed at all? And I was pretty clear. He said, we're developing products in exactly the same way that we were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's not that there are a few of us working in the same way. There's a large group of us working in the same way. So, I mean, the concept of without Jobs, has anything really changed? He's saying, no, it's very much the same. I'm sure that the end bits are slightly different. But Ive has been a part of this team since somewhere in the 90s.
All right, so read that Telegraph article if you're interested in learning more about Sir Jonathan.
You can also watch the video of him being knighted.
Oh, yeah.
He's talking to her the whole time. I'm like,
he's probably like,
I want to know what they're talking about.
Critiquing the design of the sword. He's like, that's just not the right sword.
Yeah.
Princess Royal
just be careful,
Anne did the
knighting. Careful around the ears. That's what he's saying.
Don't be disappointed if you don't see Queen Elizabeth because he wasn't knighted by her. He was knighted by the Princess Royal.
Princess Anne, you know. Second and not as good.
Well, she's okay.
Sort of, we wheel her out for the lessers.
Well, we
have to rush her today.
Yeah, she can walk. What are you talking about?
No,
isn't that treason or something for you?
The heavy sword. She needs help. It's tricky, and all of that would have been much quicker if I've had not insisted on correcting everyone afterwards with Sir. Every time someone said Johnny, said Sir Johnny, Sir Johnny. And it just took so long, really. Yeah. So a lot of those articles could have been condensed down.
They're going to have him go to the new Apple campus alone while he gets over that.
He can open it. Some scissors now.
Facebook is being sued, as is CEO Mark Zuckerberg and several investment banks, on charges that crucial information was withheld in advance of the IPO. The case was filed in the U.S. District Court in Manhattan. It's the case of Brian Roth profit-sharing plan versus Facebook. They're accusing Facebook of failing to disclose, quote, a severe and pronounced reduction in the forecast of revenue growth outside of a group of small preferred investors. Now, earlier in the month, Facebook did amend its SEC filing to say that the shift to mobile was cutting into the price that it could charge advertisers, and they were reforecasting their earnings because of that. But apparently they only verbally told a few large investment banks that they had amended that filing.
And legally, they're not required to put it down on paper and file it anywhere.
They filed it with the SEC. That's all they had to do.
Right.
They didn't have to tell anybody else, but they did. there's their mistake.
Yeah.
It's actually telling anybody, I think. Because once you've told a few people, then the people you don't tell are going to be very upset and take you to court for deceptive practices, which is what's happening.
Well, but my point is that they don't have to say anywhere on paper, somewhere that can be looked up, here's who we informed. Here are the large investment banks.
I see.
That
once
we told about this.
Once they filed it with the SEC, they don't have to also file who they told that they filed it because they've already filed it, I guess, is the way that works. That's a good point. Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, chairman of the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Financial Institutions and Consumer Protection, after he spent half the day explaining the long name of his committee, issued a statement via email that he is concerned about this. So you can expect a Senate hearing. We might see Mark Zuckerberg called to the Hill, maybe. That sort of thing happens.
They can make another movie out of it, though. Wouldn't that be brilliant? We could have another Facebook movie now, but this time it's like, oh, what? You don't make $1 billion without pissing off a few people, and that's the title. We're getting back, and it'll be great. Then you can just use the royalties, pay off the guy with the court case. Everyone's happy. It's brilliant, but still, Zuckerberg's a billionaire.
Yeah. Completed a transaction of 30.2 million shares that he was slotted to sell, according to a document filed with the SEC. So he sold the shares at $37.58. The reason it's not the IPO price of $38 is the investment bank takes a cut, but still netted him more than $1.2 billion. Ain't bad.
That's nice. That's good. Throughout the court case, I'll be sorry, I can't hear you. I've got too much money. Sorry, say again. I can't hear you. I've got too much money. I'm a billionaire. I'd be the best billionaire ever, but I don't think they'll ever let me have that much money.
I've been doing my best to wrap my head around this whole reduction in forecast of revenue growth and the fact that Facebook told certain institutions close enough to Facebook to be privy to the information that they thought that the stock range, was probably better to go near 30 than 40 type of a thing. But not all analysts were aware of these conversations because, again, they don't have to record them anywhere. And so you get a lot of shares that are available to the public, and they're listening to analysts who are saying, yeah, $40 sounds pretty good. You buy high, you sell low, people lose a lot of money, and then these institutions can come in and buy a bunch of shares, and they end up making a lot of money based on information that they had that not everybody had. And to me, I don't know what constitutes internet trading or
insider trading.
Insider trading. It's kind of all on the internet now. But that's what it sounds like that is to me. I mean, you can't do that. You can't lead people astray.
I don't know that the lower stock price of Facebook is because of this SEC filing of reduced revenue forecast. A lot of people were talking before the IPO even happened that Facebook's revenue probably wasn't going to be as big as people were saying. And the NASDAQ issues and the glitches seemed to take the wind out of the sails of Facebook. I think that had as much, if not more, to do with the fact that the price stalled out than this. I'm not saying they don't have a case, but I'm saying that I think that it's probably overstated the importance of this knowledge, because I'm not sure that not having that knowledge made any difference. I didn't see people saying, oh, I just found out the revenue forecast is going to be different, and now I've decided not to buy.
Right.
It seemed to be more like, there's just weirdness on the NASDAQ and we lost momentum and now it's tanking. Mm-hmm. Where is it now, actually? What's the
65 cents. You might as well pick it up.
$32.
Oh, it's gone up now. Oh, damn it.
$32.
So quick.
If only you'd bought it at $1. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor. This episode brought to you by Ford, featuring all-electric and hybrid electric technologies. 2 new vehicles Ford's bringing to its electric technologies are the 2012 Ford Focus Electric and the 2013 C-Max Energy Plug-in Hybrid. Both models make use of that regenerative braking system we told you about. That sends energy back to the battery pack for later use. Lots of cars have regenerative braking, but this system captures over 90% of the kinetic energy lost in conventional engines due to heat friction. It includes unique Sync with My Ford Touch EV features. So, for instance, on-board and off-board, you're not even in the car, you can use Sync to help manage the recharge process, determine the most eco-friendly driving route, remotely control vehicle charge and preconditioning settings. You're up in the office building, your car's parked downstairs, plugged in. You can figure out how it should charge, how fast it should charge, what the monitor, or you can monitor the battery state, maximize energy and efficiency. And take advantage of the My Ford mobile smartphone app to do all that stuff. Access your vehicle status. There's even a value charging powered by Microsoft that allows you to figure out when the cheapest time to plug your car is and take advantage of those off-peak or reduced rates from your utility. The 2012 Ford Focus Electric is an all-electric vehicle without a gasoline engine. Fully charges in 3 to 4 hours through a 240-volt home charging station, 100% electric, 0 CO2 emissions, runs on a lithium-ion battery, and new technology allows you to top it off without having to worry about, am I hurting the battery? You just charge it up to the top. The technology makes sure you're not harming the battery. The 2012 Ford Focus Electric will be available for reservations now. It is available for reservations. And the 2013 Ford C-Max Energy plug-in hybrid is coming fall 2013. Specifications are subject to change with production vehicles, so keep on top of the latest. Learn more about electric technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at ford.com/technology. And we thank Ford very much for their support of Tech News Today. Now it's time to talk about some outlaws, Sarah Lane.
Siri. She's an outlaw of the Wild West. She's getting shut down everywhere. You're not welcome at IBM headquarters.
Rancho IBM.
She's a man.
Get off my land.
It's true. It's actually exactly right. Because IBM can be thought of as an old Western town out on the Oregon Trail. IBM CIO, that's Chief Information Officer, Jeanette Horan, told MIT's Technology Review that Siri is banned at IBM because, quote, the company worries that the spoken queries might be stored somewhere. Spoken as in, I don't know, dictating a confidential email, a certain number, credit card information, all of that stuff.
Because that stuff you say to Siri all goes back to Apple.
That's right. Actually, Ms. Haran has a point because that's exactly what it does. Siri collects things like address book contacts, some other user data, anything that you say into Siri, then it gets sent to Apple's data center in Maiden, North Carolina, where it is used to presumably, as Apple says in their license agreement, make Siri better. Yeah. Okay, if Siri didn't understand you a few times and gets it right on the 5th try, then that data is compiled to try to make it so that Siri doesn't get it wrong the next 5 times.
And that's fair.
Does it say exactly what it makes it better at? Like, could it be better at stealing secrets from IBM and thusly is completely within the terms of use?
It would be better at understanding Iyaz if he was a disgruntled IBM employee and wanted someone outside of IBM to get this information that he didn't want to write down anywhere, for example. Yeah. Now, the thing is
if only it was a phone. That was the thing. If only Siri was also a phone and you could just say, yeah, information, I'm telling you about information. That'd be one way as well. Yeah. It's a shame.
This isn't the only thing that IBM banned. They keep it pretty conservative. They also ban file sharing tools like iCloud, Dropbox as well. They even ban employees from forwarding IBM emails to external webmail services. So I can't just start sending a bunch of stuff to your Gmail account like, look at what my boss just said.
So they're just
to
locking
me.
down the data. And they're like, look, Siri works in a way that doesn't keep your data local. It sends it out into the cloud. And it's not that we don't particularly distrust Apple any more than anybody else, but we don't allow data outside.
Yeah, we want to keep control of the information. It's funny. Last week on iPad Today, there was a tip that somebody had sent in of, when you get a long string of something, maybe it's like a redeem code for an app, that sort of thing. You can use the dictation tool on your keyboard, on your iPad, say, to read that rather than writing it all in. And I was like, that's such a great idea. But this is something to consider. Yeah. When you're doing that, you are sending that data, however temporarily, because Apple says that it does blow it out every so often. And of course, you can opt to turn off Siri altogether, in which case Apple says that they don't keep your information after you've said, I don't want to use it. Something to think about.
Yeah, IBM's bread and butter these days is just R&D, and they just get tons of patents, and they license them out, and they're working always on something crazy, like every now and then we see that, like, Watson will show up or whatever the weird thing IBM's doing. So, and I can imagine that you could be in a lab, you're trying to figure out something, you kind of want to use this feature, but if this kind of stuff gets out, that means you're not really, if they're doing something like trade secrets, this would be kind of a silly idea to go, oh yeah, it's allowed to be free and open around this way. There are other things, other agencies do this. Government agencies don't allow phones with cameras on them up to a certain degree. So, I mean, it's not like IBM is, we hate Apple. A lot of companies that are really secretive don't allow this kind of stuff.
But does expose that the terms of service, as Terpster pointed out, are woefully vague. They don't say what they're going to do with the data, other than make Siri better. They don't say that it's restricted. They don't tell you that what their procedures are for safeguarding it. They don't tell you what else they might use it for. You just have to trust that Apple is going to treat it cautiously and with respect and only use it for Siri.
Yeah, they don't want to be charged with industrial.
Quite 1984-y, though, as well, which obviously harkens back to the original Mac. Well, not the original, but, the Macintosh commercial where they hurl the sledgehammer into the 1984 type machine. And they've become everything they hated. They've become the man. Oh, how they've changed. Yeah. Still selling well. Good products. So keep it up.
I don't use it personally, but
Siri?
that's only because I don't have the iPhone 4S.
Yeah,
I don't use it because in England it's a load of rubbish. You can't, you can go like, "Hey Siri, where's a good place to eat?" Mine goes, "I'm afraid I can't do anything if I'm set to UK English," and it's like, okay, thank you. And it's a man as well. You get like a lady Siri, I get a man Siri.
Oh well, you have to speak in a Cornish accent. I don't know if you realize. A lot of people don't realize.
Maybe
that.
I could try that.
Do you want to trade Series with me? Because I would like the man.
You can change it on yours,
great.
but if you change it to UK English, you get the man, but then he becomes equally as useless
Why is that the case?
as mine.
They only recorded one set, I guess.
I guess they thought, well, hang on, let's make it so people know the difference. Male Siri, UK Siri. The male one, useless. Female one, fantastic.
No,
So
actually,
that's the
she's
easy
pretty
way.
bad too. I don't use Siri because it just
Since it's useless.
well, it's not useless, but it requires way more effort than it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I would rather just type it in.
All right, let's give
I used it
Microsoft
ever
some
since
credit
Samuel
for
Jackson told me to use it.
and Zoe Deschanel. Let's give Microsoft some credit for being too fast, being too good. Chris Clark, a program manager in the Windows User Experience Team, blogged today on the Building Windows 8 blog that Windows 8 using solid-state drives boots in sometimes 7 seconds, always less than 10 seconds, and makes it impossible to hit the function key you need to get into setup if you need to get into the UEFI management, to the boot management. You only have 200 milliseconds to hit that key. That is not enough. Also, tablets that run Windows 8 don't have keys. So you couldn't get in there anyway, even if you could hit something in 200 milliseconds. So they're adding various settings to consolidate the boot options group. The boot options menu will appear anytime something prevents Windows from booting normally. That way you won't have to try to get into it if something's going wrong. They're going to try to get really good at figuring out like, oh, wait, the login screen isn't showing up. Let's give you the boot menu access. You can access the options on your own when you're in Windows 8 by going to the General Options menu and choosing Advanced Startup. You can also reboot into the menu by holding down the Shift key when rebooting from the regular menu, or you can run shutdown.exe from the command line as well. Chris Clark.
Or you do it like a boss and you just click the button really quickly.
That's what I was
You've got 200
saying.
milliseconds. We got.
I
we
like
got
to see
loads
you
of
try.
time. Yeah, exactly. I would love that's an afternoon's entertainment for me. That is me sat at home, sun's shining outside. I've got the curtains drawn, and I'm just there all day, just trying to get that boot menu. That's satisfaction.
You know that there's going to be YouTube videos of people doing this.
Of trying to hit
There
the
is
200
Well,
milliseconds.
and being successful.
They're going to waste the whole day doing that. I know I've done that every now and then. I missed like those 8 seconds because I kind of like got distracted
What else
by
are
something.
they going to do?
It's going to keep
I
trying.
don't know if it's
They've got the
humanly
time.
possible.
I always.
You- it
I always
could be
forget
by
which key
accident.
it-
Now
Well, yeah, if you just...
You just said a Mythbuster there. Is it humanly possible? They'll build a machine and then they blow it up. They can do it. It'll
Does
happen.
anyone care that you don't have to do things the old way? I mean, they're giving you all of the options.
It is
just
a little well. It is
in
a
the
little
UI.
it is a little less convenient if you're rebooting to have to wait for it to reboot, see if Windows notices that there's a problem and give you the boot
Right.
options menu, or then go in and hold down the Shift key and reboot. It was easier to be able to just hit the key, and you'll still be able to do that in older systems that don't boot as fast, or especially anything with a BIOS instead of UEFI. The firmware on those devices will continue to support normal function key access.
Well, assuming that Windows is recognizing when there's a problem, I don't know how different it's really going to be.
Well, sometimes Windows doesn't recognize that there's a problem.
Well,
That-
Windows 8
yeah.
is going to be perfect, though, Tom. You
I
are.
That's what I love about it.
Nobody's
destroy
saying
Really
Microsoft
sorry,
isn't even
guys.
saying that. They're saying, look, we're going to try
I'm really
to recognize
sorry.
that
We've
this
made
is.
it too quick.
Yeah.
What you might notice in the version you have at home, it's a little bit slow. We've done that for you because it was getting too fast.
Yeah, you think it's
We
a
found
double
it
switch,
was
huh?
working all the time. It did what you wanted, and we were like, "This is not like Windows. We need to mix it up." So we put in some stuff that's going to make you feel right at home.
Also in Windows news today, BGR reports Microsoft will release Microsoft Office for iPad and Android in November. So the new part there is Android, but it looks like Microsoft Office for iPad rumors continue to mount. And Rafael Rivera revealed today, and The Verge confirmed, that Windows 8's Metro browser will support limited Adobe Flash content. Previously, the Metro version of IE, which is meant for use on a tablet, wasn't going to support Flash, just the way that iOS doesn't support Flash. But Microsoft's backtracking, and they're saying, yeah, we're gonna provide some limited support for that particular plugin. I don't know what limited means, but I will say that although I'm used to Flash not running on an iPad, for example, it is annoying. Still annoying. Yeah. I mean, it happens every time I look up a restaurant, for example. They're on Flash.
I bet it'll work for restaurants, but block things like Hulu and things that have apps out there. That,
well, Hulu's going to block you anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I bet they're going to say, look, you have Flash. You can run certain things.
Well, they're not going to actively block it. Microsoft's not going to go that far. That's just going to be Hulu blocking.
Well, that could be the limited version.
That has nothing to do with Flash. That's just Hulu. Let's finish up with Amazon Prime agreeing with Paramount Pictures on a deal that will add hundreds of films to Amazon Prime's streaming video service. That includes films like Mission Impossible 3, Braveheart, Mean Girls, the newest movies.
All the latest.
Yeah. Mean Girls, the movie that's on USA every 5 minutes.
But it's not anymore. It's got to be on Amazon. So they're building up the back catalog. They're slowly getting the same things that Netflix has.
I'll admit, I was holding off going for it, but now they've got Braveheart and Mean Girls.
Yeah.
I've got no excuse now. I'm trying to think of a reason.
Do they have the mashup Brave Mean Girl hearts?
Well, if you subscribe twice and play them at the same time, you can kind of do it yourself.
You can take my boyfriend.
But you'll never take.
You'll never take
my burn book.
My burn book. Yes.
So fetch.
The best.
Yeah.
Well, Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, and others may be facing new regulatory hurdles as well as fees, but there's an upside to it. Multi-channel video programming distributors, MPVDs, are what we call Comcast, Time Warner, your regular cable companies. There is an online company called Sky Angel that largely carries Christian-oriented networks. They wanted to add Discovery to their programming. The neat thing about Sky Angel is they're an internet service, so you get all of your channels over the internet. They're a niche service serving a growing community, and they wanted to add Discovery. Discovery declined. They said, no, we're not ready to make our channel available over the internet yet. We're holding off on that. So Sky Angel petitioned the FCC, said, hey, we're an MPVD, just like Comcast. And there's a rule that says Discovery has to offer us the same terms they offer other cable companies. The FCC resisted this at first, but Sky Angel pushed it, and the FCC is now in a public comment period that ends in a few weeks, asking whether the rules for MPVDs, multi-channel distributors, rules like the right to carry certain popular channels and the responsibilities to carry less popular ones like local broadcast should apply to online distributors.
I mean, they're willing to pay the same fee that Comcast or Time Warner would pay.
Well, maybe not the same fee, but they'd have to pay a reasonable
something
fee.
That's reasonable. Yeah. Well,
Discovery should just they should replace Shark Week with Sky Angel Sucks Week, and then see if they still want to carry their channel. Just say, like, yeah, you can, but it might not be the best option for you.
I don't know that that's the best option either. But the upshot of this, Terpster, is that if the FCC ruled that online carriers were MPVDs, all of a sudden all the cable channels in the United States would have to be carried if somebody could pay. So if I'm Hulu, I could then add all of the cable channels to my lineup and stream them not for free, but I could stream them at a reasonable price.
Depending on your business model.
Yeah, Netflix and Hulu would also have to carry local channels that fall under certain regulations. Things like C-SPAN, they'd have to carry a certain number of those as live streaming channels as well to continue to provide their services. So actually Netflix and Amazon are resisting this. They're like, nah, I don't think we want to fall under regulation yet. But it would be an interesting way of jump-starting online video business.
Doesn't the current definition define this MVPD as something that actually controls like the path? So you actually have to have the
Well, that's what the Comcasts are arguing. They're saying, no, MPVD refers to the whole thing, not just a service provider, but we run the cables as well. And that is true for something like cable, but satellite doesn't run the cables. They broadcast to you. So where do they fall?
It just sounds like that the industry is going, the cable industry and the satellite industry is going to kind of push so this doesn't happen. It'd be awesome though. And
the Chaos Star says the FCC is against competition. No way. No, the FCC is actually encouraging competition here. The FCC is They're not actually. They're just listening. They're saying, should we do this? And I'm not sure how I feel about it either, because I do like the idea that suddenly anybody with the wherewithal could provide an internet cable service because it's the regulation that they have to. On the other hand, I don't like the idea of a regulatory hammer coming down on nascent providers like YouTube, for instance, and Amazon and Netflix and Hulu. And anybody else who wants to start an online video. I mean, would TWiT qualify? Would we be a channel? Or I guess we'd be a channel, though. We wouldn't really fall into that because we only provide our own original programming.
Right.
We don't provide somebody else's channel.
Right. We don't. What if we wanted to?
But Vimeo and Dailymotion, all of those sorts of places might fall into this.
I'm just thinking
in
about
the United States.
All the crazy rich entrepreneurs. I'm saying like Virgin Cable. That's what I'm thinking would happen. Like you'd see Richard Branson getting into this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'd go with that.
And
they've got
a wide adoption of C-SPAN watching. We'd all be so up to date.
Yeah, I think you can get C-SPAN online anyway.
Streaming anyway. Just nobody watches it.
Somebody
watches it. Somebody does.
Let's move on to the news feeds. Hewlett-Packard announced it's going to restructure the company. That means layoffs. HP will cut 8% of its workforce, 27,000 employees, by October 2014. The company expects to create an annual savings of $3 to $3.5 billion. The news accompanied HP's earnings report, where the company announced better than expected earnings, but revenue was down 3% compared to a year ago, and profits fell 31% for the same time period.
Google has updated its Google Search iOS app to version 2.0, and it brings an overhauled UI, much more visual full-screen image search, among other things. Google's selling the update on speed, though, saying the app offers faster autocomplete suggestions and faster page loads, which, when you're searching, comes in handy.
In news that will bore Terpster to tears, Blizzard announced that Diablo 3 has set, quote, the new all-time record for fastest-selling PC game.
Greetings.
With more than 3.5 million copies sold in the first 24 hours of release. Now, Blizzard explained that number does not include the 1.2 million players who got Diablo 3 as a part of signing up during the World of Warcraft annual pass promotion.
So I don't count. That's 3.5 million copies, not counting my copy.
That's crazy. That's a lot of Diabloers, which is why it didn't really work when it first came out.
Yeah, too many people trying to use it.
Too many people.
Hence,
too many people.
Error 37. Remember how the
stayed a while.
What's that?
No, don't worry. Carry on.
Remember how the heads of Apple and Samsung were going to try to settle their case out of court?
Yeah.
Well, that didn't go so well. After 2 days of talks, the two sides could not come to an agreement. Samsung still wants royalties, and Apple still thinks Samsung ripped off its design. So, more court time coming in late June.
I love trying to think of how that conversation went. Can you pay us?
No,
you ripped us off.
What?
Can you
I
pay
imagine
us?
it's
I didn't rip
like
you off. Well, I'm not going to
it's
pay
like
you.
the Pink Ladies and the Tea Jets or whatever out of Greece, and John Travolta's in there. I like to imagine it that way. And maybe like West Side Story, though. Maybe it's like the Jets versus the Sharks.
Yeah.
And they're never going to come to terms. You can't do that. You can't put them together like that.
When you're Samsung all the way from your first breath to your last
What happens? It's what happens.
During an investor meeting, I'm just going to move us right along. NVIDIA, not video, announced its Kai platform, which is NVIDIA's plan to help create sub-$200 Tegra 3-based tablets. NVIDIA says that the Tegra 3's power savings would help facilitate these tablets. Also, the company says it's already having customers using the Kai platform to build Tegra 3 tablets now.
What company is the top mobile PC maker? Well, that's going to probably depend on your definition of what a mobile PC is, but NPD says Apple is the top dog. That's because NPD included the iPad in that definition and says if you combine that with its notebook computers, Apple has 22.5% of the mobile PC market. HP would be number 2 at 11.6%.
Remember the FBI was all wringing their hands about how they should try to help people who are infected by the Trojan DNS changer? Well, Google's going to step in and help them out. If a compromised machine conducts a Google search, the user will see a warning saying your computer appears to be infected and then get a link leading you to directions on how to clean your machine.
A judge at the International U.S. Trade Commission says that the Xbox violates 4 Motorola mobility patents and that the game console should face an import and sales ban. The patents relate to wireless technology and to the H.264 codec. Microsoft was quick to explain that the ruling is not the Commission's final ruling. Microsoft is confident that the ITC will eventually rule in Microsoft's favor. They'd have to say that rather than... Well, that's the end of that.
Stop buying
Hope you
Xboxes,
got your
folks.
yeah.
Actually, no, they could spin it and say,
Get them while you can.
hurry up. Get them before they're
Before
illegal.
the evil Google ruins our lives. This could be good.
Google just bought a huge piece of leverage over Microsoft in the Android cases. That's what this is about.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
And you still think they bought Motorola for those set-top boxes?
I never said. Now you're trolling me. Stop that.
They're going to make a competing video game set-top box.
We all agree they bought it for the patents, but I think they're going to keep the set-top.
All right.
You come for the patents. Stay for the set-top.
Yes.
Let's cruise on over to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
See, I said cruise because we're talking about iPhone owner Katie McCaffrey's Facebook photo album of a Disney cruise ship employee named Nelson, who's apparently been taking photos on her smartphone that disappeared while she was on the boat.
Well, I don't want to condone theft, but he is having a really good time.
It looks like he is. Apparently, her phone is still automatically posting every picture he takes with it to her Facebook account.
Oh my gosh!
So she's made all those photos public because they just show up in her photo stream, and it's pretty.
I like
hilarious.
the Angry Birds T-shirt. I want to get that. That's good.
Apparently, he has a friend that he takes a lot of pictures with. I noticed.
Yeah.
Why? Wow. Hey.
Yeah.
So do you think to even unlock the phone? Because there's that photo option right on the front of the iPhone. Is that what he's using this for? It's like, this is a nice camera. I'll just use this for that.
There's a Disney cruise ship employee that I think is no longer going to be a Disney cruise ship employee for very long.
Oh, he works on the cruise ship?
It
looks like
from
it,
the pictures,
yeah.
it looks like it, yeah.
Disney cruise
Looks like
guy.
I want to
come
go on a Disney cruise. That's what it looks like. This is the best viral marketing ever.
Can you
Look at
imagine?
the time they're having.
Can you
It's like,
imagine,
look, you
like-
can meet ladies who are pirates.
He's on a boat.
There's
Like, you can
plastic
get him.
parrots.
I'm on a boat.
You can get him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like he can run anywhere.
He's the happiest
Wouldn't it have
thief on
been
earth.
sad if the cruise people were like, listen, your job is to take photos of people having a great time.
But
And
I
we
don't have a
need those
camera."
photos by next Saturday. But I don't have a camera. Well, you know what? You figure it out.
Find one.
Yeah. Just acquire one. We
That's
won't
my
ask
made-up
questions.
scenario. That
I'm not saying steal one from Katie McCaffrey in Cabin 362, but find one, Nelson, now. Let's move on to the calendar.
Taiwan-based Gigabyte is unveiling its new X11 laptop on May 31st. But there's something very special about this laptop. According to Gigabyte, it is the lightest notebook on Earth, and it'll conquer the sixth element.
What the hell is the sixth element?
It's probably extra light carbon fiber.
Oh, okay.
But
The one after
That's not actually
Bruce
another
Willis's
element.
film.
Yeah.
Also, like, this is genius because I would be like, for add-ons, every single notebook that's sold would have to be sold with a case. And you say, look, if we don't give you the bumper case on this, it's going to float away.
Yeah.
You were going
Light
to
as a
spend this
feather.
money, and oh, there goes your money. Bye-bye.
It's not a case
you
anymore.
need to weigh that down.
It's an
You need
anchor.
to weigh that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they are announcing this in an event, so we'll know more about it on the 31st. Samsung Galaxy Appeal Go phone is hitting AT&T on June 5th, and finally, Nokia World is going to be less of a big deal at the end of September. They're splitting it up into smaller events instead of just that big single Nokia World event. The first has already been announced, September 5th and 6th in Helsinki, but not focused on anything where people get their hands on stuff and get to look at the new phones. This one is focused on carrier and store partners. So
It must
kinda
be cheaper to do it this way. That's all I can figure.
I guess so. I mean, maybe the venues
You would think
can
the
be spread
economy
out
of
a little
scale
bit more.
would make it cheaper to do it all at once, but I don't know.
I'm not sure. Well, maybe it's if you have to have one big event, you have to have bigger halls to house everybody,
Right.
and just the magnitude of everybody eating lunch at the same time. would rack the fees up. I don't know what the answer is, but it just feels kind of sad.
That's what they're doing.
Nokia World.
So there you go.
Now it's many worlds.
What's incoming?
Incoming message.
Oh, it's a message. This one comes from Brad. He was among a few people who pointed out that the test drive feature we were talking about that Amazon rolled out in their app store also exists in the Windows Phone marketplace. They have trial versions of apps since it's launched. That's not exactly the same thing. Amazon's actually letting you use the app in the app marketplace. Windows Phone trial versions have been on Windows Phone since launch, and they allow developers to offer a free version of their app that you can use to your heart's content, he says, and allow you to experience the main features. Trial versions actually exist in a lot of marketplaces, but this is something Windows Phone has that's worth a test drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next email from Dion Norman, who says, the Verizon Viewdini app that we talked about yesterday, other than having a cheesy name, is nothing new. I've been using the Fanhattan app for quite some time now. It has a slick interface, shows you different sources to find the content, also includes a synopsis and review from Rotten Tomatoes. Thank you for your great shows.
So which is worse, Fanhattan or Viewdini for a name for this kind of app?
Oh. They're pretty on par with each other.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I don't hate the name Fanhattan, but I always assumed that it had something to do with New York-based content.
Because it has a Manhattan.
Because,
Yeah.
I'm a fan
I
of
just thought it was
alliteration.
a drink.
Yeah.
Verizon Viewdini. I like double V's.
Now, do you get your Fanhattans with a brandied cherry, Terpster?
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it? Exactly. And that's actually a Bluetooth receiver is the cherry on the Fanhattan. And that way it just makes it more accessible, which is what I look for in an app.
Yeah, we know.
We're well aware.
Accessibility. All right. That's what you call it in England, I guess.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone, for accessing our subreddit at technewstoday.reddit.com. It's the place to let us know what stories you'd like us to cover, and not only submit those stories, but vote them up or down. I'm sorry we didn't talk about the Rickroll meme being destroyed by copyright takedown, but it was put back up, so it's not as much of a story
news
now. But that is definitely the place to go. Subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. Over almost 7,000 people in there letting us know what stories they'd like us to cover each and every day. Mr. Terpster, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure is mine.
What are you up to at the incredible podcast of Amazing Awesomeness or the Instance these days?
We're just podcasting. So if you like podcasts and you'd like to hear podcasts, and you might be right now listening to a podcast. In fact, it's very likely.
It's quite likely,
then
yeah.
you should check out incrediblepodcast.com or theinstance.net or hypotheticalhelp.com. Those are the three best ones. Actually,
you get
globally,
you get one of your co-hosts back this weekend. He finally graduated college on the Instance.
Yeah, which is great. Exactly. So we're looking forward to that. We're talking about Diablo 3 on the World of Warcraft podcast. But we're talking about some Warcraft stuff in there as well.
Y'all are just a Blizzard podcast.
It's
really.
all the same.
I mean,
it's all the same.
Is Diablo that much different than World of Warcraft?
No.
I'm just
it's
seeing how
the foundation.
I'm seeing how many people I can get angered with a couple of statements there. Thank you, Terpster. Go check it out, incrediblepodcast.com. You can follow him on Twitter at @the_T. And thank you, folks, for joining us. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Our email address is tnt@twit.tv. Or give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. Our phone number is 260-TNT-SHOW. Patrick Norton from Techzilla joins us tomorrow. We'll see you then.